Hello painters, it's Debbie at acrylicpouring.com, and today I thought I would do a budget pour. I don't know about you, but with all this addiction to painting, I've spent quite a lot of money on paints and materials, canvases and everything, and I'm thinking, goodness, I need to try and save a little bit of money, and I'm sure I'm not alone. So I'm thinking this is going to just be a test pour today. I want to see how these colours are going to work together, and I thought rather than use expensive paints or my posh Liquitex pouring medium, I'm going to do it the budget version. So as you can see, I've got these big bottles of economy paints, and I tend to use these most of the time anyway. I add in other craft paints or some tube paints and things to go with them to get the colours that I need. So today I'm using magenta, and I'm just using this one to make the magenta here straight out of the bottle. And then let's see what else. I've got a yellow ochre. That's this one, and again I've mixed it just straight out the bottle. Then I have this violet, and this one is a little bit too dark for me. It dries really dark. So what I've done is I've just added in a little bit of white to it, and I've made a colour that I find a little bit more pleasing. So I didn't have to pay any extra money to get a different colour. I just mixed a little bit myself. And then I've got this turquoise, and kind of turquoise is my favourite colour, but again I didn't have a coloured paint to go with this, so I've used an ultramarine blue and a phthalo green and mixed the two of them together, again with a bit of economy titanium white, and I've created my own turquoise. And then what I did with all of the paints, let me pull this into view if I can without causing things to all fall over. And then what I did with the paints, instead of using the pouring medium or the Floetrol, I went to the DIY store. Oh, I got this great big heavy thing of Elmer's glue all. It's basically just a multi-purpose white PVA glue. Oh, let's get that out of the way. And I mixed all of my paints just with around 20% of the PVA glue, so by volume. So if I had a certain amount of paint, I'd look and I'd kind of guesstimate which was about 20–30% and add in the PVA glue to go with it. And then really I just had a look, give it a good stir. Stirring well is important, and then I looked at the consistency, and where necessary all I needed really was just a few drops of water in a couple of them to give me the kind of thin creamy consistency that I'm looking for. In terms of consistency, I still struggle to get it exactly right every time. I'm still not confident that I'm always getting the best consistency from my paints, and of course it varies depending on which brands you use as well. Craft paints in the small bottles tend to be thinner, tube paints will be thicker, so your mix is going to be different every time. But basically what you're looking for is single cream, melted ice cream, or a thin honey consistency, so that it sits up a little bit on your stick, and when you turn the stick up it runs in a nice steady stream, not too thick, not too thin, down into your pot. And that's what you're looking for when you mix your colours. So mix your paint with some white PVA glue and a little bit of water as necessary to get it to the right kind of pouring consistency. So while we're also talking about budget options, I'm going to add a little bit of silicone oil, and rather than buy any of the posh ones that I tend to normally use, I'm going back to an old favourite here. This is the Liquid Wrench silicone spray, and what I do is I take this outside into a well ventilated area and then just spray some off into a little pot. Let me go and get that now. So here's my little pot where I keep my silicone oil, and I'll just use one of these pipettes, or pipette I think if you're American. I'm just going to put 3 or 4 drops in each. That turquoise has got a bit more paint, so I'll put a little bit more silicone in that one. And then I'm just going to stir those in lightly. If you want smaller cells, then incorporate your silicone a bit more thoroughly and break it down within the paint. If you're hoping to get larger cells, then just stir that in lightly. So I'm just going to do exactly the same now and mix up a nice batch of economy white. I haven't quite got enough here, so I need to do a little bit more, and then we'll get to the pour. So another ideal way to save money is to not use too many plastic cups. For one, throwing a load of paint covered plastic cups away every day or every time you do a pour isn't good for the environment at all. So if you can get little pots like these, I use these little pots with a lid and I mix my paints up in them, and then if I have a little bit of paint left over I can just pop the lid on and the paint is saved until my next painting session. So for one, I've not used and thrown away a load of plastic cups, and I've also not wasted any paint because I've just put the lid on and it's there ready for me to use next time. So consider getting yourself some of those instead of the plastic cups. All of the plastic cups that you see me using, in fact, are already recycled. My husband works for a company where he takes customers out on a boat every day, and they use the plastic cups and then throw them in the bin. And I get my husband to go through the bin at the end of the night and get out all the plastic cups that people have used. Disgusting, I know, but it's only full of plastic cups that had water in, so I'm not that bothered. Probably full of germs, who knows? It's just a painting. I wouldn't reuse them for drinking. But in fact, these aren't even plastic, these are biodegradable. I'm not sure what he said they're made of, corn starch, corn oil or something like that. So I can't store anything in these because they actually biodegrade and they would fall apart. But that's another reason, so don't go overboard with the plastic cups. If you can save money by using your little your paints in these little reusable or resealable containers if you can too. So I am going to do a flip cup today. Let's push this out of the way and bring the cup in, and we'll add in some colours. So I'm going to add a little bit of white in the bottom and then layer these up. I want to think, what do I want to be dominant? I really like the pink, so I'm going to put the pink in first in the hope that it comes out last and will show up a bit more on my painting than some of the others. So the purple is good. Let's go with a bit of purple. And then the blue next to it. I've got lots of blue because I like turquoise. Then the yellow ochre. And I'm using plenty of volume, plenty of height when I add the colours into the cup, because I actually want them to mix today. Sometimes I don't want them to mix, I want the more distinct colours. Today I'm happy to get them to all mix in together. So I'm doing it from a greater height today, so that as the paints drop down into the cup, they all mix with the existing colours. And maybe we'll get more colours, maybe they'll be unexpected, maybe they'll be good. Who knows? That's what you've got to love about this style of painting. Until it actually turns up on the canvas, you really don't know what you're going to get. So I'm going to put all of these in. I've come to the end of my paint session today. I'm going to use up everything I think I've got left. Maybe not all that turquoise. I'll save some of that for another day. Oops! Disaster. Not really. And last bit of the yellow ochre. And scrape all that one out. Same with the popsicle sticks. There's absolutely no need for you to throw your popsicle stick away at the end of every paint session. So I keep a plastic cup full of water and I just pop all my popsicle sticks in there. They all clean up well enough, and with a quick wipe they're good to reuse. They kind of get a little bit stained, but the stain doesn't come out, so I can use like a purple stick in white, for example, and I don't get any purple in there. It's just stained into the wood, but it's dried. It doesn't affect the paint. Okay, so there we go. Those are all my colours in. Let's bring our canvas over. And this is an economy canvas. This is 8 by 10, and it comes in one of these kind of economy packs of 10. And I love using these, you know, if it doesn't turn out too great, well, you know, they didn't cost very much, not much is lost. If it does turn out great, you know, you can still sell them, use them or whatever. They're still beautifully decorative and perfectly functional. So let's go ahead with our flip. Lie that down carefully on the cups and we'll see what we get today. There we go. I think that's about level, and as usual the cup looks absolutely fabulous down the sides here. I like to use a clear cup because it just makes me happy to see all these colours coming down the side of the cups and, you know, looking all nice together. The blue seems a little bit dull compared to the other colours, but we'll see what it looks like when we flip. Let me zoom in a little bit more, and then as we flip up, we'll see. Oh, there's a big hair, that needs to go. Let's see what we get today. So I'm going to just use one of my popsicle sticks and encourage a little bit of paint out into these corners, because it will help my paint there in the centre to flow out towards the corners a bit later on. There we go. Same over the edges. There we are. Not want to waste anything if we can use it. Okay, so now I can see what I've got there in the centre. It does look, I don't have an awful lot of paint today. It's not flown about all over the place, but the consistency of it looks good. It's just sat there gently thinking about what it's going to do. So let's give it a once over with the torch. Hopefully we can bring a few more cells up, and then when we move the paint around, those cells will hopefully expand and create nice big beautiful cells. So I've given it a once over with my Butane Torch, but again we're talking about the budget option today, so you don't need to invest in one of these. You can get away with something like this, and I do use this one on my paintings a lot. It's just basically a barbecue lighter. You can get this in the acrylic pouring store as well, as you can with all the materials that you'll see me using today. And you know, you flick forward, give it a thing, and a little flame comes out the end. I think you can see it there. And you know, you can use that on your paintings just as well as a main torch, and of course they're a lot more affordable, but of course they are disposable, so once it's empty you need to get another. So let's clear everything out the way so I'm not making too much mess here, and then give this a little bit of a tilt, and we'll see if we can keep a lot of these cells. I love this area here. That looks really nice. So I'm going to gently come in towards the corner with some of that up to the edge, but hopefully not too much over. I'm going to put my finger there so I can stop that paint going too far. Okay, that's good. I've got good coverage. And now we'll take it down to this corner. And again, I want the paint to come up to the edge and go over, but I don't want to waste too much of it. If we've got far too much paint and it falls off the side, well then I've wasted too much. And again, you know, we're doing an economy pour today, so ideally I want to try and make sure that I've got the right amount of paint for my pour without wasting too much off the edge. Okay, so let's go off a little bit down this side. I can see my sides are covered, that's good. So as we go off towards this corner, I'm going to tilt the canvas a little bit this way so that the paint is going to come up to the edge here, and just use my finger to encourage the paint over the sides, and that means the sides of the painting will match and they'll be the same colour as what we've got coming down the sides just here. Oh, there we go, I'm a little bit going over the edge, so let me just make sure my side is done. Excellent. And now we can come down to this last corner. And it looks like I'm going to have plenty of paint left. So I'm not going to be too thin. I don't have to worry about it too much. Let's go down this way. There we go, covering the sides as we go. And now this kind of muddy bit in the corner, this is all going to get run off now as the paint comes down. So we'll end up with that coming off the sides, and our nice design will continue on. There we go. Okay, so let me wipe my hands up and we will take a look at our creation. So that looks nice. I've got quite a lot of purple in there today. So that does look nice, because normally in my purples, because it's so dark, a lot of it doesn't show up very much, but with the addition of the white in there today, I've got a lot more purple, which looks nice, and some really nice areas just here where the lighter colour is coming through. Not much in the way of the pink, a few little bits of pink, but the turquoise here is nice too. So let me go back over with my torch and see if we can bring out any more of these cells. Now we've got the whole canvas covered. Oh, there we go. It's also bursting the bubbles in the paint as I go over it. Oh, I'm out of gas. Let me refill. So I'll give it a quick once over with the torch. And there we go. That is really nice. I actually like this area here. I wonder if I could tip a little bit this way and get a little bit more of this yellow to come in. Of course, if I do that, I will lose a little bit of my turquoise. So you have to kind of decide sometimes, you know, which areas of the painting do you want to keep and which areas do you want to lose. It's a shame to lose some of that turquoise, but the yellow here is nice for me. So I'm going to move it just in there a little bit slightly. And I'm also looking at the composition. You know, I don't want to end up with the painting looking obviously centered unless it's supposed to look kind of centered and symmetrical, which isn't in this case. So here I've got, you know, kind of a little curve like that. Then I've got an area that comes up here and an area that complements coming over here. So I think the composition of this one is nice. And of course, this is a pretty area here that balances the pink, balances with these colors, balances with the pink here, and then, you know, the patch of yellow. So I'm happy. So let's let me take you down and we'll take a look at some of the details. Now here we go from my perspective. Really nice. This is one of my favorite areas just here. I like this very much. And those cells there especially. That's really nice little bit. Got a nice area up here that I like very much. And again here. But generally there are busier areas, and then there are areas where, you know, it's less busy and more subtle. And I like to have a nice balance between the busier areas and the subtle areas in a painting. I think it gives it a nicer balance. It's not too much all in your face or all too busy all over the place. So if you can hang around a little bit longer, I'm going to dry this one off and varnish it and show you what it looks like when it's all done. So do you ever have one of those days? Yes, I think I just had one. A storm blew through in the night and we heard this noise and I didn't even really think anything of it. But when I got up in the morning to come and look at my painting, it was face down on the floor, on the tiles, just like this. So I don't know whether the storm had come through and it had got windy and blown it off the bench onto the floor, or whether the cat had jumped up. I don't think it was the cats. My husband always tries to blame the cats for everything, but I don't think it was. Anyway, this ended up on the floor, face down. Luckily, I've got tiles in there, not carpets. But obviously, when I picked it up, there was nothing to be done except clean it off. I've got a bit more there that I need to clean off just yet. But, well, although I can't say that this glorious painting has been a final success, I think we can say that you can use budget supplies and still create some really beautiful paintings. So go out there, go ahead, do it. Hop on over to the acrylic pouring store, get your supplies and get pouring. And hopefully close the door and don't let the cat in.